In this video, we're going to show you how to maintain a compost.
And we're going to start right now. What's going on, YouTube Gardener? It's your boy Sidney from the Naked Gardener channel and me, my son Sidney Holland Jr. In this video, we're going to show you how to maintain a compost bin for in case if your compost gets a little bit cooler, it helps you. What are the benefits of having a compost pile?
It holds your water and it adds life and it puts nutrients back into the soil.
And not only that, it will help decrease the pollution and the food waste that goes out into the landfill, and it will add nutrients and helps decrease the disease and fungi for your plants because of the way it feeds it and everything. And so we're going to show you when your compost gets a little bit cooler what to do to help speed up the process to get it back up to the temperature it needs to be. Now let's get growing. All right, now we're going to do is start doing the compost. Now there's two types of compost that you have. One is a batch compost where you just add all your stuff in there and just let it sit. And the other one is
add as you go.
And add as you go is you basically take all your food scraps and everything, you just add in there and you keep on turning it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on this one. This is our batch pile where we started about a few weeks. We're going to put the top part out first and the sides out, and then we're going to basically interchange these so that way the middle is going to be on the outside and the top is going to be on the inside. And as I'm pulling this out and we're going to add it back in, we're going to check for moisture and to see how it is. If it needs to add any moisture, my son's going to add some water in there and we're going to keep on mixing it from there. All right. All right, so now we got all of it out. We're going to put the middle part or the top part back inside and get it all mixed up. And we're going to add a little bit of the coffee grounds what we got from the Starbucks, but you could probably go to any coffee place and ask for their used coffee grounds, and that's just going to add nitrogen to your mix of your compost. And you want your browns to add on to your greens. Things that you can add for browns are leaves, sticks, cardboard, paper, and what else? Newspaper, things of that nature. And you want to shred them up as fine as possible to get the less amount of surface material that you. So those are the stuff that you want to add for your carbon or your brown material. For your green material, you could use food waste, blood meal. You can use urine, and but you have to dilute it so it's not as concentrated onto your. But you can use it straight onto the compost if you want to add nutrients to it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use the coffee grounds. We're going to kind of mix this as we go through, and then add the water to the as we're mixing it into every 4 inches. We're going to have them water it down, and then add some more layers anywhere from 4 to 6 inches. Again, just keep on adding water to check, make sure it's saturated, but not just like soaking wet. All right, you ready? So to get the perfect temperature, to help maintain the perfect temperature for your compost, you wanted a 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet high minimum for your compost. That has been known to help get the right temperature. You want to get the temperature anywhere from 125 to 160, and that temperature range that kills out any type of weed seeds, so that way you don't have to worry about, well, and decreases your chance of having any type of weeds going on. Anything higher than that will basically kill any type of good microorganism that's going to be in your soil. So you don't want to get it any hotter than 160-degree temperature. Now let's go to the next one. Now, these leaves is what I got during the fall season. People normally put out their leaves on the side of the curb. So I just grabbed it. I found that as an excellent source of carbon, free carbon at that. And now we're gonna just add these to the compost. Now we're going to reiterate ways that you can speed up your compost. One, when you're adding the carbon to your compost, is you want to make the surface of the area as small as you can get it. So if you're doing leaf, you want to grind it up as fine as possible. Paper, shred it up as fine as possible. If you're doing even food waste, your greens, if you're going to add your food waste, you could put them in the blender and blend them up into a liquid and to add them to your compost. That's one good way you can speed up your compost. The second way is to add nitrogen. Now, if you see you had your compost pile in there for a while and it's not heating up, add your nitrogen to your compost so that way kind of the nitrogen will be able to feed off the carbon and help it break it down. The third final way to help speed up your compost is by turning it. When you're turning it, you're allowing the oxygen to get inside of the compost, so that way your compost is able to breathe, your microorganisms are able to breathe. When you're also turning, you're allowing the mixture to get into there to where you're getting your old and your new, the stuff that's not been composted inside of the internal of the compost, and everything that's been already compost able to come outside to breathe. Another reason why you turn your compost is you're able to see the mixture if you need to add more water or add more carbon in there if your compost is too wet, because you want it to get almost like a damp sponge. So those are the three easy ways that you can speed up your compost if you find your compost is not heating up. Now, for the don'ts for your compost is what I found very easy for us is you want it to be you don't have to necessarily have it out in the sunlight, because when you're doing that, it allows your compost to dry out faster than what you need to be. If you have it under the shade like this tree that we have ours in, you can wet it down. You don't have to worry about the direct sun moisture taken out of the compost. Another thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to cover. Most people I see, they put like a tarp or something like that over their compost. Once again, that was step 2 of how to speed up your compost, is you want oxygen. And when you're covering it up, you're suffocating. You're not getting the required oxygen inside of your compost, so it's not going to speed up and decompose as fast as what you want it to be. And the third one is you just want to make sure you don't let your compost get dry. So you want to check it daily to see if it's dry. If it's dry, just add some water onto it till you start seeing the water seeping out of the bottom of it, and then that way it will just keep your compost and the microorganism and bacteria nice and wet and solidifies and feed off it from there. So those are some ways and some things you don't want to do to your compost to keep it alive. Now we're going to talk about how do you know when your compost is ready. Normally you can have your compost anywhere from, what I've seen on people do online is either from 30 days to 3 months. Normally 3 months is the average. How you figure out when your compost is ready is it's going to have a dark, rich color. It's going to have that nice earthy smell, and you won't be able to recognize anything that you put into your compost. You want to make sure that your compost is well decomposed, because if you don't have it already decomposed and it's not ready, your plants are going to be fighting the nitrogen of the compost, because anything in there from the carbon is going to be fighting for the nitrogen in the soil. So you want to make sure your compost is well decomposed before you add it into your flower beds, your garden beds, or anything of that nature. Now, if you found these tips very helpful on how to speed up your compost, I'm going to put a playlist right here of other DIY information that you can follow with us as well. Until the next video, let's grow together. Ooh, you need deodorant. Or is that the compost?
That's the compost. Oh my. Take 2.
Take 2. All right, so what we're gonna do?
What'd you do? What did you do?